very good morning to you. 7 a.m. It is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato taking calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. It's a beautiful morning right now. We're going to have a mix of sun and clouds this morning, then cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. And Mike and I and our director Pam were just talking about this. There are already over 400 flight delays and cancellations, not necessarily here, but they're in major hubs around the country due to weather there. And you know what happens if the plane has to go from there to here to pick you up, there might be issues. So all I'm saying is check with your carrier before heading out. There you go. I've done my public service announcement. We head straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta, a first check of the post-Memorial Day Garden State forecast. Good morning, sir. Hope you had a nice weekend.
Had a lovely weekend. Hope you did as well. The weather turned out to be not so bad. It started off a little rocky, but it quickly turned sunnier, especially by yesterday. It had that beautiful clear sky, nice refreshing breeze, no humidity. Nice way to start this morning as well. But there are some clouds back in the picture, like you mentioned, that return through the end of today, clouding up our skies and giving us a wet middle of the week. We get one more dry day today with temperatures in the 40s up north, even in the 60s right now down south, and we'll stay clear through most of the morning with the dew points, or the temperature where the air is saturated right now, holding in the upper 40s and low 50s. So the moisture is starting to creep back in. Into this afternoon, a little bit of a breeze, mostly from the south and east. That'll help to give us our cloud cover and humidity back. And then by tomorrow morning, we see that wind primarily blow due east. And that will allow for that rain to get going and stick around for the next several days. So another good soaking on tap here for New Jersey once we get into tomorrow. As far as today, though, nice and dry, beautifully sunny. Just those high, thin clouds starting to creep into the southern corner of the state. But by the end of the morning into the early afternoon, you'll notice more clouds return and even some rain before the day is through, primarily for points south and west of the Atlantic City Expressway. Up north with all the sun, we climb into the 70s. It'll look great and feel great. Not so much tomorrow morning with a light rain pitter-pattering all across New Jersey. Temperatures will climb back into the upper 60s, so it'll feel humid. It'll feel a little muggy and mild with that easterly breeze lasting throughout the day, even some heavier showers by the end of the day tomorrow. Thursday may start off dry in the morning, but by the afternoon, some rain returns, and then we have more wet weather on the way for Friday. So it's a good 3 days of on and off showers beginning later on this evening for southern New Jersey, but primarily overnight tonight, lasting through tomorrow as well as Thursday and even going into Friday. Look at Friday afternoon, making plans to go maybe escape down the shore or up north out to the Poconos. There will be some wet weather around for your Friday evening plan. So a little bit of shower activity on the way for the next few days. Temperatures climb back into the 70s, and you'll notice the humidity work back in as well, Ken. After a nice dry feel with that refreshing low humidity this past weekend, I think summer really starts to dig its heels in by the time we get to this upcoming weekend with more humidity and more heat day by day. We'll talk more about that with the weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Day by day, day by day. See what you've done? See what you've done? Now people can't unhear that, Mike. All right, just a
You took
reminder,
the earworm to another level. I just planted the seed.
break out the Tums. That's all I could say. All right, but just I want to remind everybody again, we have decent weather here, but just because we have decent weather, people show up at the airport and they say, there's no reason why my flight is delayed. It's gorgeous out. Forgetting that there's a network of airports, and like Miami, Atlanta, they're having issues this morning. And as a result, flights coming from there to Newark and LaGuardia and JFK are probably going to be delayed because of the weather down there. So just check with your carrier. 400 and some odd flights right now already canceled or delayed because of that. Just a
This is why
public
if you're a
service
travel
announcement.
expert like Ken Rosato, you take the first flight out because the plane is already sitting there. So you don't have to worry about your flight arriving to the gate.
Especially if that's your hub. Like Spirit
Yeah.
Airlines and United, their hub is Newark. So chances are if there's an issue with a piece of equipment, they have another plane for you. But if you're flying to Vegas from Westchester County Airport, good luck. It is luck of the draw. So All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll check back with you. It is 53 degrees and it is pretty out right now. It really is. Let's take a look at the roadways. There is a problem right now on the GWB. It's on the upper level. In fact, it's the westbound Upper Trans Manhattan Expressway. It's on the Manhattan side. A right lane is blocked. And look at this. That's causing this. So even though the problem is on the side heading into New Jersey, this is heading out of New Jersey. You know what happens if there's an accident or crash? Everybody stops and rubbernecks, and you have this. So just to prove that it's upper level, the right side is your upper level. So the upper level is basically stopped east and west because of the incident on the westbound side. Eastbound side is moving at about, I'm sorry, the lower level eastbound side is moving at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's your better bet right now. It's probably about 50 minutes now across because of that. We have a crash on the GSP northbound north of exit 130B and A, which is Woodbridge Township, one right lane blocked. I kid you not, 3 to 4 days a week, that exact location, there's a problem. It's either an accident, breakdown, or delay right there. Don't know why. Get it fixed. So there's something there. But I almost thought I had to refresh my screen because every day is a problem. Crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound, north of exit 130BA, US 1, Woodbridge Township, right lane block. Just might as well put it up there. It's almost like the I-80 Wharton issue, which we'll get to. We have delays on Route 17 northbound right now, and that is at I-80 in Lodi. The lanes are open, but there are delays through there and delays on Route 3. Pam and I were talking about this, always delays on Route 3, but in this case, it's Route 3 eastbound from Riverside Avenue in Rutherford, just about 3 miles, and that's all due to volume. Of course, the east and westbound area at I-80, exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton, we now have, look at that, oh, this is I-80 at Howard Boulevard, which is exit 30 right before. A little bit heavy, but it's moving. It's nice to see. So eastbound does have a couple of lanes open now on I-80. Westbound, they're supposed to open up 1 or 2 lanes later in the week. So keep our fingers crossed. And then by the end of June, we should not even be reporting on I-80 exit 34 in Wharton because it's supposed to be fully open in both directions. 7:07 right now, and yesterday, New Jersey remembered the men and women who died serving our country. In Margate, the police department was in front of this year's Memorial Day parade along the Parkway. The annual event was put on by the Margate Mothers Association, featuring speakers and performances highlighting Margate's proud history of service to our country. And the annual Califon Memorial Day Parade, hosted by the Califon Recreation Committee, was a day full of community spirit, remembrance, and tradition. A large crowd came out to celebrate and honor the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to our country. Meanwhile, down in Seaside Heights, chaos erupted over Memorial Day weekend with 73 arrests, including 52 adults and 21 juveniles, following a number of fights and stabbings. 3 young adults were stabbed near the boardwalk, but they are not cooperating and suggesting maybe they know the attackers. No arrests have been made thus far. A gun was also recovered. Despite a 10 p.m. curfew for minors and increased police presence, there was lots of violence, leading to a midnight boardwalk closure. It's one of those deals. This is why we can't have nice things. Those business owners waited all season, all winter and fall to reopen for the spring. They get their businesses open. People come out, the neighborhood, the people who pay taxes, and then you get hoodlums who literally come in from out of town, kids who get drunk, who don't have any supervision, and they get stupid and they do drugs. And this is what happens. This is why neighborhoods don't want you. Assemblyman Paul Kenitra is pushing now for tougher penalties to prevent this in the future. 7:09, a viral TikTok meetup in Woodbridge turned chaotic Saturday night, forcing the shutdown of the Woodbridge Center Carnival. These are pictures of a quieter time at the carnival. Police say about 300 unaccompanied teens, spurred by social media posts. They all get together on TikTok and they say, let's meet up at this place at this time. And then authorities don't catch up with it until after the fact. Well, these 300 plus teens overwhelmed the area. They became unruly. They started acting again like idiots. As officers tried to break up the crowd, a number fled into the nearby Woodbridge Center Mall, forcing stores to lock down. This was similar to a recent incident at the Menlo Park Mall. No arrests were reported, but the investigation continues. They'll find out who was the first one to issue the suggestion that everyone come out, and they'll get arrested. So they're kids, they're stupid. I'm sorry, kids are just not that bright all the time. It is what it is. 7:10, the Trump administration filed a lawsuit against 4 New Jersey cities, Newark, Hoboken, Jersey City, and Paterson, all Democrat-run cities, I might add, accusing them of obstructing federal immigration agents by acting as sanctuary jurisdictions. The suit, filed Thursday, claims the city's policies block cooperation with federal authorities aiming to thwart immigration enforcement. Hoboken Mayor Ravinder Bala vowed to resist, calling the policies inhumane. God forbid you take people who break the law and violate our country's jurisdiction by coming here illegally and living off of our taxes and forcing their kids into our school system and forcing you and me taxpayers to pay their kids 3 meals a day and give them free housing and a $20,000 gift card to come here. God forbid, because it's inhumane if you say, we're broke, we can't afford this anymore. Inhumane, that's what he called it. Consider that when you go to vote for him next time. Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, who of course is running for governor, so you'll hear a lot from Ross, was just relieved that he faced a dropped trespassing charge a few days back. A federal judge previously blocked Trump's efforts to withhold funding from similar jurisdictions, but they worded this a little differently, so we'll see what happens. 7-Eleven in Toms River, a heated legal battle is unfolding as the township moves to seize a 10-acre church property to build pickleball courts and soccer fields, but it's more than that. Before you get all upset about this, Christ Episcopal Church, which proposed a 17-bed homeless shelter, there's the key, faces eminent domain action from the Township Council. The church's attorney, Harvey York, calls it retaliation, citing violations of religious freedom and federal law. While some residents support the recreation plan, many are shocked. Litigation is expected as the church fights to protect its mission. Now, here is the issue. Because I was a Catholic priest, I get this. You need to understand. I'm also a private homeowner. The issue is when a town gives a tax abatement or zones an area for a church, they no longer collect tax on that piece of property. So this church is located on waterfront prime property. This is where all the properties around there are paying millions a year in property taxes, but the church pays zero. So as it is, it's a burden on the town. It's a church that has dried up in attendance anyway, which is why they're looking for other things to do with their property. Because if they were packed with attenders every week, the Episcopal Church, sadly, throughout the country has very little attendance. They've dropped from the largest denomination in the country to one of the smallest, 1.7 million in the entire United States. So understand that history. They had that as a church. Now they want to turn it into a homeless shelter. You get it? This is the prime real estate in Toms River, along the river, and they want to turn it into a homeless shelter. How would you like to spend $1 million a year in property taxes next door and having potentially drug-addicted, homeless, psychologically impaired people living where your kids are, etc., in the most prime, expensive taxed area in your town? That is why the town said no. And the Episcopal Church in Toms River is forcing it. They want it. So now the town says, you want to force that? Fine. Now we're going to take the property away with eminent domain. That's what this comes down to. It's not that they're going after them for religious reasons. It's because the locals are tired of liberals trying to shove up their backsides homeless, drugs, etc., in what is the most expensive part of town. You want to keep it as a church? Keep it as a church. You want to turn it into a homeless shelter? You will lose your property. Your call. 7:13, a 180-year-old mystery has been solved in New Jersey. Skeletal remains found on South Jersey beaches between 1995 and 2013 have been identified by Henry Goodsell, the 29-year-old captain of the schooner Oriental, which sank off Brigantine Shoal in 1844. Back then, 29 was an old man. Think about it. Using investigative genetic genealogy, Ramapo College students and the New Jersey State Police traced ancestry to Connecticut and confirmed Goodsell's identity through a descendant's DNA. This marks one of the oldest cold case identifications using this technology, showcasing the power of science and dedication. Police arrested the driver of a minivan yesterday after authorities say he plowed into a crowd of British soccer fans who were celebrating the Liverpool soccer team's Premier League championship. Police say a car had collided with a number of pedestrians. The alleged car was stopped at the scene. A man was held for questioning. Video posted to social media, which you could see there, showed a gray minivan striking at least one pedestrian before veering into a larger crowd of people, carving a path through the group and pushing bodies along the street like a plow before coming to a stop. It's not yet known if it was intentional or some kind of medical issue. And over the weekend, a dramatic rescue unfolded in Vineland, New Jersey, where a mother duck was found frantically pacing over a storm drain. 7 of her little ducklings had fallen 8 feet below into the drain. Local officers sprang into action, removing the cover and rescuing 6 of the ducklings. The 7th, a feisty guy, required extra equipment to capture. He was like, "Hey, I like it down here. Leave me alone." After a heartwarming effort, all the ducklings were safely reunited with their mother at a nearby lake, and everyone today is said to be doing just ducky. Sorry about that. It is 53 degrees at 7:15. When we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. A mix of sun and clouds this morning, then cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s, but a pretty decent morning right now. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. When you see me look down, I'm actually looking to see if we have any calls right now. 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:17, taking calls at 888-658-0234. A mix of sun and clouds this morning, cloudy this afternoon, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike. And I was looking, still over 400 flights canceled or delays in other major cities due to weather, but many of those flights could be headed to our major airports here, and that could cause problems if you're flying elsewhere, especially people coming back from the long holiday weekend. So check with your carrier if you are headed to the airport. Mike, good morning, sir.
And Ken, we were talking about this last week, that people might be using today as their return day for travel, specifically after the long holiday weekend, the work from home. But it's those weather systems impacting other major hubs across the country that are moving toward New Jersey throughout today and tomorrow, bringing us some pretty heavy rain by this time tomorrow, even as soon as this evening in southern New Jersey. As far as this afternoon, just clouds return across New Jersey. Temperatures will climb into the mid-70s. It'll feel a touch humid too, more like summer will, especially after so much dry weather the last few days. That dry weather has allowed the grasses and weeds pollens to proliferate and rise a little bit. We're pretty much done with tree pollen season, and of course the mold fluctuates with our varying amounts of rain, which returns by tomorrow. So it's the last day of the high UV, up at a 7. I think we'll be back down to the low category as soon as tomorrow, thanks to all of the cloud cover coming in this afternoon. You can see it here working in from the south and west, impacting portions of southern New Jersey first. These very high, thin cirrus clouds giving that milky appearance toward our skies, sort of that whitish color. And then the rain. That'll move in later on tonight with more wet weather back off to the west. And it's all of this rain that allows for a good soaking as soon as tomorrow into the afternoon. So later on this evening, as the clouds thicken up, temperatures start to cool off at the coast thanks to an easterly breeze. It'll be 62 down over on LBI, whereas Trenton may reach near 80 degrees before the rain moves in. We start off tomorrow morning a little wet. Some light showers get going early in the day, but gradually intensify through the afternoon, even some embedded shades of yellow and orange. Southern New Jersey could pick up a good soaking over the next few days with anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in the forecast, and that's after all of the rain is said and done by Saturday. So this goes several days, even into the start of next weekend, with all of that wet weather around. Notice by Saturday morning, still have some showers around, but by Sunday, I think we see a nice clearing early on in the day. It's a front that sweeps on through, drives out the clouds, and brings back not necessarily warmer weather, but much drier weather. That'll feel nice. A reinforcing shot of dry weather for Monday as well. And most of next week, at least as of now, starts off to look pretty dry with varying amounts of clouds during the day. So an impressively wet next few days with that rain lasting through Saturday. And even though 75 is just around average for the last weekend in May for Sunday, I think we'll see more clear sky and dry weather that takes us into most of next week. So another wet start to the weekend, but a much drier finish. At least the rain looks to be forecast for most of the middle of the week. So some pretty good news there, because we never like when that rain just coincides with every weekend, as has been the case some summers. Really hurts those businesses down the shore. But even this past weekend had some very pleasant weather with a nice makeup, if you will, with the impressive forecast that came back just in time for Memorial Day, Ken.
Yep. I could recall, I want to say it was about 5 or 6 summers ago, we literally had, I want to say 10 of the weekends it
It was
rained.
awful. It was
And I
awful.
remember our dear
Yep.
friend at that other TV station saying, "This is just Mother Nature. It's Mother Nature getting back at Rosato." And I'll never forget him saying that. So, by the way, I talked to him. He's going to come on the show in the next week or so. So we're going to have him on.
Fantastic. Oh,
All
can't
right.
wait.
This is our friend. For those wondering, it's our friend Bill Evans, who used to be our morning weather guy. Mike worked at Channel 7 with us and years ago, and I worked there, of course, for years. And Bill owns a radio station on the east end of Long Island. He does the morning show. So we're going to have to pre-tape, I think, the segment because he's on
Okay.
right now. But we'll do that. He can't wait to talk to his
That is
buddy
a
Mike here.
Ken, that is a spot on impression, by the way. A plus work.
Thank you, sir. It's having been possessed by that voice for 20 years, every morning for hours a day. Hey, Ken, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just showed up? Just showed up for work? What do you think you're going to show up for work at 2 minutes to show, Ken? Huh? Huh? That's our buddy. But he is a dear friend, so that's why I could do it. All right, Mr. Mike. Thank you, sir. 53 degrees right now, 722. And it is now time for another dear friend. Politics from Trenton explained like nobody else can do it. Here is New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 27th. Welcome to the Inside Edge. And so here we are, just 2 weeks left before we learn who the Democratic and Republican nominees for governor will be. Early voting begins 1 week from today, and Election Day, I guess it's known now as the last day of the voting period. That comes on June 10th. And this has been a gubernatorial election of change. There's no county lines. There's limited coverage by what we used to know as newspapers. It's never been more difficult to keep the electorate informed. And that's one of the reasons that 2025 has become so expensive. And one of the reasons why there's so many undecided voters this late in the game. Here's something else that marks a considerable change in the way New Jersey elects its governor. Newspaper endorsements have virtually disappeared. So far, the only newspaper endorsement in the New Jersey governor's race has come from a paper in Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Inquirer endorsed Democrat Steve Fulop and Republican John Bramnick. Newspaper endorsements used to be a big deal. But not anymore. Gannett stopped endorsing candidates nationally. This is from an internal memo. They said readers don't want us to tell them how to think. And still, despite the changing times, some office holders play it a little safe. They're a bit stuck in the old days, maybe reticent to offend, perhaps desperate to hold on, to newspapers that are maybe taking advantage of them. Over the last couple months, the Bergen Record has summoned gubernatorial candidates to their office in Woodland Park for a discussion of state issues, an editorial board meeting. At least that's what they called it, even though the Record really has no editorial board, at least not in the traditional sense. Now, get this. There are a lot of issues that voters are concerned about right now. They care about affordability and taxes and education and housing and crime and public transportation, immigration, the fate of democracy, support or opposition to Donald Trump. But one issue that is not on the radar screen of voters is the future of legal notices, the practice of requiring municipalities and counties to purchase ads in print papers to keep people informed about government action. With print papers dying, the legislature right now is mulling the future of legal notices. But believe it or not, that was one of the topics the Bergen Record crew chose to ask gubernatorial candidates about. They decided to put their own financial interests first, as if holding a candidate for governor captive might enhance their chances. It's unreal. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thank you very much, David. It's 7:25. A strange story. A Swiss crypto trader wanted for questioning in the horrific Soho torture of an Italian Bitcoin millionaire has enjoyed a posh Memorial Day weekend in the Hamptons before turning himself in. The Euro exec was named as a person of interest in the sensational case after the arrest of Kentucky crypto king John Woltz on Friday for allegedly kidnapping and torturing wealthy trader Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan at a ritzy townhouse on Prince Street in Manhattan. That's down in the Village. Woltz, who sources say owns a private jet and chopper and is worth at least $100 million or more, was arraigned on kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and weapons possession charges and ordered held without bail in Manhattan criminal court. His assistant, 24-year-old Beatrice Fulci, was also arrested but released after the Manhattan DA's office declined to prosecute her pending further investigation. Carturan, who is reportedly worth $30 million himself, was allegedly lured to the Soho apartment from Europe. He flew over from Italy, and he was held captive while his tormentors tortured him for his Bitcoin password. Remember, only the owner of the password can get in. No one else has the password. You lose the password, you lose the money. It's like a Swiss bank account. The Italian national got tied to a chair and tasered while his feet were in a bucket of water. He got urinated on, pistol whipped, and had his arms and legs cut with a chainsaw. Not cut off, but cut, like threatening to cut them off. He was allegedly also dangled from the top of a high staircase during the vicious ordeal. Police say Carturan was finally able to escape on Friday when his captors got distracted. He ran out and found a traffic cop and explained in broken English that he was being held hostage. Very strange story with lots more details to come, I'm sure. 7:27. If you haven't seen this video, stop what you're doing and check out your screen. French First Lady Brigitte Macron, check out what happened here. This is a French military officer opening the plane's door. Look at that. See that red hand, that red sleeved hand? That is the First Lady of France. Watch it close up. You beast! As she slaps him in the face and he realizes, hi, cameras are on. Oopsie. That's French President Emmanuel Macron. She slaps him in the face. The couple was waiting to disembark their plane at Hanoi, Vietnam. As you can see the video of the incident showing a uniformed man open that plane door as Macron was seen wearing a suit and standing in the doorway. Brigitte Macron's arms in red sleeves are seen reaching out and pushing Macron away. I say slapping him in the face. That's what it looked like. Apparently covering his mouth and part of his nose while the other hand got on the jaw. The French president turned his head away, but suddenly noticed the news cameras capturing that moment. Of course, being the politician, he quickly smiled and waved before exiting the door frame. Macron and his wife later disembarked the stairs of the aircraft together. The French president offered his arm, though the First Lady, seen wearing a red blazer, did not take hold of it. Gotta wonder. The couple later laughed it off, saying, "We're just kidding around." I don't know about you. Look, I'm not married to a woman, married to a man, but I recognize that look. And men have that same look if you're fighting as women. It says, you better not even look at me and don't even talk to me in front of the other world leaders. That's what that says. I'm just saying. Hypothesis. 7:29, the U.S. government is officially phasing out the penny, whose use has spanned more than 2 centuries. The Treasury Department will stop putting new pennies into circulation by early next year. Afterward, There won't be enough pennies to use in everyday cash transactions, and businesses will need to start rounding up or down to the nearest 5 cents. The move is the culmination of a long bipartisan effort to do away with the lowest denomination unit of American currency, which is more likely to end up lost or buried in couch cushions than to be used for transactions. Sad news, former Congressman Charles Rangel, who served 46 years in the House of Representatives, died on Memorial Day. He was an acquaintance of mine, very nice man, very liberal. We didn't agree on politics, but he was a very good man, and he was in the military. So thank you for your service, sir, and may you rest in peace in heaven. One of the founding members of the Congressional Black Caucus, who served, in fact, he helped co-found the CBC, Congressional Black Caucus, with my former co-anchor Lori Stokes' father, Louis Stokes. They co-founded the CBC, historic in Congress. He made history then as the first African-American member of Congress to lead the powerful Ways and Means Committee. He represented what is now New York's 13th Congressional District from 1971 to 2017, and then served as statesman in residence at the City College of New York. And one time I remember being at the airport waiting for a flight. My flight was delayed, and he was sitting there waiting for the same flight, and he said, "Yeah." He talked like that. We sat down and we talked together for an hour. It was like talking to an encyclopedia. Brilliant man, very kind man. He didn't give that impression when he did his politics, but he was a kind man, great politician, served his people well. Charles Rangel, may you rest in peace, died at 94. Blessings to his family too. 7:31. It is the summer travel season. When we come back, we will talk about travel planning, insurance, and what's ahead for New Jersey in the coming months. And the phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Next morning, mix of sun and clouds this morning, then cloudy this afternoon. Highs in the upper 70s. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We're seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we stream live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/ONNJ. We'll be right back. Good morning. It's 54 degrees. It's 7:32, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. I just had a hiccup. Excuse me. Hey, it's live TV. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. A mix of sun and clouds this morning, then cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta with a detailed Garden State forecast. A reminder, Mike, to everybody once again, excuse my hiccup, by the way, that we do have flight delays and cancellations.
Yes.
At 400 plus, or there are 400 plus flight delays and cancellations throughout the country due to weather issues there. And you said there might even be weather headed this way. So I leave it to you, sir.
It's a large system in the middle of the country, providing the showers, the clouds, the low visibility, and just generally weather that moves in our direction over the next few days. So today's our last dry day before it gets really wet with on and off showers that begin this evening in southern New Jersey, but really overnight into tomorrow morning for the rest of the state and last all day long through Saturday. Now by Sunday, we're back to some sunshine. It'll look much more pleasant for the second half of the weekend, and that dry weather sticks around for the better part of next week. As far as today, a little bit of an easterly breeze takes over, and that cooler wind off of the ocean will mean it'll feel much cooler along the shore. So upper 60s today as a high, but after that sea breeze kicks in beyond 1-2 o'clock, we're going to be in the upper 50s by the coast later on today. Inland stays nice and toasty in the mid 70s with a little humidity working in as well as that wet weather starts to move in. The The average high for the day, 75. And I think we'll get there by this weekend. It'll take some time, though, especially with those clouds around. Sunrise nice and early. You notice those bright mornings, and sunset now at 8:18 as we approach the summer solstice. Not going much later than that. Typically, our latest sunset is around 8:30 once we get to later in June, only about 3.5 weeks away. Our forecast brings the clouds back as soon as today. The clouds really thicken up through the afternoon, giving us our overcast sky. And then there's the rain going up tomorrow to 50%. But again, it's a good shower throughout most of the day, especially in the morning. I think when this updates in about a half hour, we're going to see that jump to maybe 60 or 70% for tomorrow. Maybe slightly less by Thursday, as most of the rain is early in the morning as opposed to the afternoon. Friday has a good soaking later in the day, and then Saturday still has those shower chances, and then it drops off by the time we get to Sunday. So with that easterly breeze developing today, air quality is good. But look at what's coming as the high that gave us our gorgeous weather the last few days starts to move out and break down. Our next weather system comes in, and this will provide the showers and the clouds later on today into tomorrow through the lunch hour and the dinner time hour, with that wet weather lasting through Thursday. Could get a little bit of a break throughout Thursday, and then Friday, our next wet weather system comes in, and that's our rain that lasts into Friday night, but eventually clears by, I'd say, late in the afternoon Saturday. It's going to be taking some time for this low to move out and the clear weather with this blue line here. That's the cold front to sweep on through. Not going to happen right away. That's why Saturday is our day of transition, gradually clearing out the clouds and showers. So for the next several days, while temperatures climb into the 70s today, we're only in the 60s tomorrow, much cooler and damp and cloudy. Thursday and Friday sees the humidity return, and there will be some times of just dry weather, but for the most part, plan on the rain on and off throughout the day. Saturday has the lingering showers early on in the morning, clearing by the afternoon, but Sunday is our dry finish to the weekend. And look at Monday, 80 degrees and sunny. That'll springboard us into a very pleasant start to June with pleasant heat and lots of sun. Here's shore points. Have more rainfall, especially throughout Friday and Saturday, with that wet weather lasting in the forecast. But again, by the end of the weekend, specifically Saturday night, going into Sunday and Monday, clear sky returns and temperatures climb into the mid and upper 70s. So it'll feel great about a week from now. Just have to hang on for the next several days of rain, Ken.
All right. And by the way, Mike, you're a dad, beautiful child, right? And a husband. I don't have kids because I'm one of those curmudgeonly, kvetchy old men who doesn't want to hear Marco, polo at the pool.
Oh,
Okay.
that was the kids at the pool. That's what you were going to play before the show?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right.
I don't think it's being, I could try it again. Tell me if you could hear this. Tell
For
me if
some
you
reason, the
hear this.
frequency, it doesn't come through. It's wild,
Yeah.
but I
I'm
believe
going to try it again. Can you
it-
hear this?
No,
You
it's
don't hear it.
banned. I understand it's banned in some local pools because it drives you nuts. It's like a quality of
Well,
life thing.
it is. And here's the thing, where I just moved, my husband and I just moved to a townhouse complex and has a beautiful pool. And yesterday was the
Memorial Day,
first
sure,
day,
they open up. Yeah,
Memorial Day,
right.
right? The
Yep.
pool has capacity for like 200. It's huge.
Wow.
And we got there and there wasn't another human being there. Then one gentleman, quiet older gentleman, he sat by
Yep.
himself in his own chair. So if you can picture the four spots of the pool, we're here. This man is over here. Along come a group of parents and they go way up here in the shade and they leave their cluster of about 8 children
Oh,
and the
no.
children gravitate to us. There's 8 kids. They were all about 4 through 7. And as God is my judge and witness, I know you're going to say, Ken, hyperbole, stop with your exaggerating. I don't say the
But for
kids were saying, I mean, it was as if somebody was stabbing, God forbid, a child
the shrill screams. Yeah,
for an hour.
sure. Oh,
To the point that
no.
we got up and walked over to another side of the pool where the other gentleman was, and he looked at us and said, I can't stand it from here. I don't know how you could stand it. Meanwhile, the parents were off in the corner having a nice cup of coffee, ignoring their screaming children. So here's my request. I know kids are going to be kids. I get it.
Right.
Just look around and see if there are adults who are being troubled. Then the kids started splashing water at us and throwing their towel at us. And as adults, you don't want to say anything to the kids because you know the parents are going to say, Don't you talk
Sure.
to my children. So if you don't want us to talk to your children, then you talk to your children if they get that out of whack. Okay, I'm just saying. There, I've spoken. I feel better now. Thank you, Mike.
It's okay. No, as the parent, Nino, during the descent on our flight from Miami 2 weeks ago, he screamed for maybe 10 to 15 seconds, and we were sweating. We were petrified. We're like, no, quiet. But it's like some parents, I guess, don't have that level of respect for others.
And you know what? Kids are going to do that. It's one thing if you're holding your child and you're doing everything to quiet your child. It's
Yeah.
another thing if you literally abandon your duties as parents and walk to the other side of the pool because you know your kids are obnoxious
Right.
and literally out of 200 empty seats, I'm not kidding. They literally came to my feet. They were at my feet, a cluster of 8. They could have gone anywhere. And they decided to come to where the other 2 adults were laying down, trying to relax, and decided that we were the target. And they were splashing in towels. And it's like, at this point, I was that tempted to go. And of course, my husband is not a confrontational guy. He was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. All I wanted to do was go up and say, listen, could you just please ask them not, they're going to be loud. That's okay. Ask them to go to their own space or don't
Yeah.
splash us with water. But don't be surprised if you abandon the responsibility. I don't mean you. But one abandons the
No, I know.
responsibility
I
of
know.
taking care of their kids. Don't be surprised if an adult looks at your kids then and says, knock it off. And don't be offended because it is your duty to make sure as parents that you keep them. They're going to be loud. That's okay. But once they start splashing water on
Sure.
adults and hitting them with towels, that's abusive. So that's all. There. I've spoken. I've wasted 3 minutes rather kvetching. I feel good. Thanks, Mike. I know you got stuff to do. I appreciate you hearing my rant. You're the best. Mike should charge me a therapy fee. I'm telling you. All right, bud. We'll check. We'll check back in a little bit. Wow, that was almost 4 minutes. I would have been fired at any other TV channel for that. I appreciate you, buddy. It is 54 degrees now at 741, and we do have some traffic to talk about. This is the Jersey Turnpike, mile marker 95.9, interchange 12. Wow, look at that little shake in the camera. A little bit of breeze, maybe. This happens to be in the area of Carteret and Rahway, and it's just volume at this point. I think it's just the glary sun causing that and people coming back after the long weekend. But nonetheless, volume, but it is moving. That's good news. We do have problems, though, on 495 westbound east of 1 and 9 in North Bergen. A left lane is blocked there, so beware of that. That's a crash. And we have a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway, northbound south of interchange 13, which is 278 Goethals Bridge in Linden, actually very close to where that just was. All lanes are open, but vehicles are moved to the left shoulder. So maybe that little bit of buildup is because within a mile, they're going to be hitting what I just talked about. Minor delays on Route 29 southbound from just north of 295 in Hamilton Township to north of Thunder Road, Cass Street in Trenton. All lanes are open. And right now, the approach to the GWB 8095 approach, very slow. It's about a 50-minute cross time. And that is all due to volume at this point. There was a westbound crash on the upper level causing rubbernecking. That's been cleared, though. So this is all residual. Look at the lower level on the left. Wow. That's a good 50 plus minutes making your way into Manhattan. Lincoln Tunnel's 35 and Holland is 30 at this hour. 7:43 right now. And Memorial Day weekend may be behind us, but the summer travel season is just getting started. Joining us this morning is Assemblyman Robert Auth, who represents New Jersey's 39th Legislative District. In addition to his role as a lawmaker, he's also the owner of Plaza Travel and Insurance in North Bergen, which I just mentioned that town. I used to live in North Bergen, great town. It's a business that's been serving travelers for nearly 40 years. Oh, so, all right. You know what then? I'll go on, Pam. We'll take the Assemblyman after the break. We'll take this after the break because that's the next segment. All right. That's what we'll do. Let's regroup. It's going to be 7:44. And I promise when we come back, we'll have what I was just talking about. Okay. We have a mix of clouds and sun this morning and then cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with the full Garden State forecast and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back. 54 degrees, 7:45, and in just a couple of minutes, we're going to speak with a gentleman who is going to talk to us about something that is very prevalent in this country, and that's liver disease. 100 million Americans are affected by liver disease. Many don't even know it. I'm very conscientious of it. I've had gallbladder issues over the years, et cetera, so I get tested all the time. But we're going to talk about a major event coming up in Verona to help raise money and awareness. So you're going to want to tune in for that. Again, 7:45 right now. We're going to have mixed sun and clouds this morning, then becoming cloudy this afternoon, but not a horrible day. Highs in the upper 70s, the full Garden State forecast now with meteorologist Mike Favetta. And Mike, again, just reminding people there are travel cancellations and delays with planes around the country due to weather elsewhere. So just check with your carrier before you head to one of the major airports in the region. Good morning, sir. How are things going?
Good morning. We've got a beautiful start to the day, nice and clear, with clouds on the way, specifically for western sections of the state, even down in the southern portion of New Jersey. The clouds increasing over toward Warren County, even back over by Sussex County later on this afternoon. But the clouds come in so much later in the day in the northeastern corner of the state by Hudson and Bergen County that you get pretty decent sun for most of the day, helping your highs warm into the mid and upper 70s. So it'll feel fantastic. Hey, big improvement with the drought. As of Thursday, we officially ended our drought. So just a few abnormally dry sections of the state. And would you believe these are the areas that get a good soaking over the next few days? Almost 200% of average rainfall over the last month there in central New Jersey. So yeah, it's certainly been wet. And I think we'll see a good improvement with very little to no deficit, even just along the fringe effects of the coast. Now, the first week of June is looking hot. So if you're like me and have a broken air conditioner, call your AC repair guy today because you want to get in line because it gets really warm for the first part of June, specifically for the first 2 weeks of June, with above average temperatures really centered across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic here in New Jersey, with temperatures expected to go above average, not by much, but still above average, closer to the 90s in the next 2 weeks. So it gets warm and it stays dry with drier than average weather forecast, at least slightly, for that time frame as well. As far as today and tomorrow, it warms up a little today, getting into the 70s, but cools off with that easterly breeze tomorrow, climbing only to 65. Then a little bit of a wind shift brings back some more rain on Thursday, additional rainfall Friday, especially in the afternoon, and Saturday has those showers lingering in the morning. But look what happens by Sunday and Monday. Temperatures start to jump into the 80s with that dry weather. A lovely southwesterly breeze takes over, clears us out, and brings back beautiful weather for next week. So it takes a bit to get there, at least another round of rain for the first part of this weekend, even at the shore. But by Sunday into Monday, we're back into smooth sailing with temperatures well above average by then, and the dry weather returns. So a pretty decent go of things starting in about a week or maybe 5 days. Just have the next few days of wet weather to get through before we get there. And then by that point, I think we'll enjoy a continued pleasant feel. We won't be in a drought, so kind of smooth sailing from that point forward into the start of summer.
You know, Mike, one thing I've never heard a lot of growing up is the words well above average. So it's nice to hear it from you at least, which is one of the reasons why I love working with you. One of 100,000 reasons why I love working with Mike Favetta. All right, meteorologist Mike Favetta, thank you, sir. I don't know why you put up with me. I don't know why he puts up with me. 7:49 right now, 54 degrees. Let's take a look at the roadways if we can. This is in Carteret Rawway right now. This is, again, with the bouncy camera, bouncy, bouncy. This is the New Jersey Turnpike, and this is just volume. We think that's just due to the sun glare and the kind of in the upper right, coming sort of in the faces of those people on I-95 right now. Yeah, some actually stopping of those tractor trailers. So that's volume. Although 1 mile beyond that, there was a crash off to the shoulder. So it could very well be rubbernecking because of that as well. But again, this is mile marker 95.9, which is by interchange 12 on the New Jersey Turnpike in Carteret Rawway in that area. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound, north of exit 144, Route 510 in Newark. A right lane is blocked there, and a crash on 495 westbound east of 1 and 9 in North Bergen. One left lane is blocked. We also have delays on Route 124 westbound in the vicinity of Canoe Brook Road in Millburn to west of exit 7, 124 JFK Parkway in Chatham. All lanes are open, but really slow through there. And the 8095 approach to the GWB, we talked about this a little earlier, still problems. This was an earlier crash on the opposite side, on the westbound side, upper level, but you could see the damage has been done. The folks headed east, probably sun in their faces. That's another reason why that causes slowdowns. About a 50-minute delay. The lower level on the left, upper level on the right. That's about 50 minutes getting into Manhattan, 35 at the Lincoln, and 25 to 30 at the Holland. 7:50 is our time, and liver disease affects nearly 100 million Americans. Yet for many, it remains very misunderstood and underdiagnosed. And the liver is an amazing three-lobed organ that can survive a lot, but you want to give it some love. This June, communities across New Jersey are coming together to raise awareness and support those affected. The American Liver Foundation's annual Liver Life Walk is returning to the beautiful Verona Park. Beautiful, beautiful park, by the way, on Sunday, June 8th. And it is more than just a walk. It is a chance to honor patients, raise critical funds, and build a stronger network of support. And joining us this morning is Jean Cautillo, who is the New Jersey event chair for the American Liver Foundation, and somebody with a deeply personal connection to this cause. Jean, thanks for being here this morning. Nice to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for
You
having
bet.
me.
And I was talking about this. I used to drink rather heavily being in the business, which I've stopped. It's been many, many years now since I stopped drinking altogether. I quit entirely. Seriously, it's been like 7 years. I haven't had seriously, because of partly because of indications in my liver that that's a very bad thing. And I had my gallbladder out and everything. And this is why I'm very aware of this. I'm with you 100% in terms of we just ignore our liver. And it's the biggest internal organ outside of our skin, right? Most important, probably the most important outside of our heart. And people ignore it. So I think it's so important. Tell us about your own diagnosis. You had a journey with hepatitis C, and share a bit of that story with us and how people need to get their vaccines and everything else for hep. Talk to us about it.
Yeah. So before I get into that, it almost gave me the chills when you said 100 million, and just to kind of set the stage for, we're talking about a lot of people. Close to a third of the population of the US is impacted in some way by liver disease. And thank you for sharing your example about your concerns with liver. But I think it highlights sometimes the misconception that it's not only alcohol, but we also need to be aware of fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. There are certain types of diseases that are inherited, caused by other means. So that said, I think it's great that you stopped, but stopped drinking. But as we know, the liver is an amazing organ that can withstand a lot. However, as I just said, there's a lot of different causes of liver disease. For me, it was interesting because I was in meetings and never had gotten a nosebleed in my life. And all of a sudden, like I had 3 days in a row where I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden my nose started bleeding. And I remember my boss distinctly saying, you need to see a doctor about that. And at the same time, I had cracked a tooth, and my dentist was concerned about everything healing properly and suggested I go to get some blood work, wanted to make sure my sugar levels were okay as they pulled the tooth, that it would heal, things of that sort. And I had to go back, I think it was about 4 times before they actually discovered that it was hep C that was in my blood. And I mean, this was a physician, should be well versed in that field. And it was something that, from an awareness perspective, and at that particular time, the awareness just wasn't there. And finally, we've discovered that after many tests, my enzymes being off, that in fact was hep C. And given the extent of my liver and the damage, and the fact that I was not part of any high risk category as far as contracting the disease, we traced it back to the only thing that I was a high risk for was, as an infant, I had a blood transfusion. And
there you go. This is not uncommon. People who have blood transfusions, this is one of the dangers. People think, oh, if anything happens, I'll just get a blood transfusion. But this is a reality for many people. Blood transfusions, look, it saves your life at the moment. but it could transmit a lot of whatever was in the other person's blood to us, unfortunately.
True,
But
true,
I
Ken.
want to talk about, let's just pause for 1 second, if we can, about the hepatitis that people are not. I only found out with a routine blood test recently that apparently I had been exposed to hepatitis, and the doctor said could have been somebody at a fast food restaurant who maybe didn't wash their hands properly. You got exposed. You didn't catch it, but you got exposed. And I didn't realize there are now vaccines for all of Hep, and you need to get your vaccines. You can go to any CVS, Walgreens, get a vaccine for hepatitis, right? And this could prevent so much damage to our liver.
Yeah, vaccines are important, but Ken, I just want to make sure, though, as far as from a blood screening perspective, that I think from the time when I received my transfusion to now, procedures have changed as far as screening
Yes.
blood for certain. So just to make sure that we're clear that if somebody needs a transfusion, absolutely, you need to
Yes, it
need
saves
to
your
get
life
it.
at the moment. No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, so it's much safer now. And as far as the treatment methods, Hep C, for example, when I had it, it was a year-long treatment, and the side effects were to be honest, devastating. Hair loss. You had the flu 24/7. You took injections via shots and a whole assortment of pills. Now the treatment is much more, let's say, palatable, and it's over a much shorter time period, less side effects, and much more effective.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that, I mean, like I have a very dear friend, one of my best friends from high school, who needed a full liver transplant. He was up in Boston. They were giving up hope, and miracle upon miracles at the very literally the last minute. Unfortunately, somebody else was in a horrible accident, and may his soul rest in peace. And his family was generous and kind enough to donate his organs. And my friend literally had maybe a week to go and received his liver, and it will never the donor's family they're all saints as far as my friend is concerned. He is in love with them, obviously, and that man lives on in my friend. But it's amazing that a lot of people don't realize you could donate even a lobe of your liver, right? And in many cases, depending on how bad the other person's liver disease is, that can grow into another liver. It's an amazing organ. But the Liver Life Walk, let's get back to this. It's
Yes.
happening this June 8th in Verona Park. And for those unfamiliar, talk to us about the walk, talk to us about all the people it's for and how important this is to get the message out.
So June 8th, every year, I've been involved in the walk for about 12 years now. It's been happening quite a bit longer than that, but it is an amazing event where, as you said, Verona Park, special, beautiful park. June 8th, the time as far as registration, 9 a.m. The walk will start at 10. Activities for the kids, there's a DJ, things of that sort, but not to lose sight of the main purpose of the walk as far as creating awareness for those impacted by liver disease. And that said, it's a time for us to get together, to celebrate the successes that we've had, and also remember those who, unfortunately, who have been impacted and, whose lives have been devastated by liver disease. As far as the celebrations, I have to mention our liver life champion, Cooper. And if you had a dictionary there in front of you and looked up cute, Cooper would be under that name. And he is this year's Liver Life champion. And for those who are interested in joining us at the walk, you will meet Cooper, as well as other Liver Life champions who Nadia Ovchensky, who with NYU, as far as all that she does related to liver disease. Others that have families, you'll see families there who have teams, 30, 40 people that will come to remember a relative impacted by liver disease, as well as others. I have to say, and I'm going to, Ken, make a plug for the website. If you were to go on Google New Jersey Liver Life Walk, you will be able to register for the walk. If you want to start your own team, great. If you want to walk as an individual, great. If you have questions, or if you want to join my team, the Chubby Liver Fighters, that is my, since I am impacted by now, as far as my liver, fatty liver disease, which is the next epidemic going across the U.S. Hep C, we have a cure. Fatty liver disease, however, is impacting millions of Americans, where it's related to whether it be hereditary, diet is a big factor. All of this, but we're walking for education efforts. We're walking for advocacy. We're walking for, which the foundation is very involved in, research. All of these put together is why we walk, and also just in support of each other, knowing that there are others out there. And, Ken, you mentioned as far as the silent aspect of it, there's 100 million of us out there. And whether a lot of us don't know it, and for a lot of us, for a while, there was a little bit of a stigma around liver disease.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that, and you pointed out properly. I mean, just the fatty liver disease, as you pointed out, there are people who are skinny, who don't drink, who don't smoke, who live a healthy lifestyle, and they find out they have fatty liver disease. And doctors don't really know why, right? So don't assume that because you're in perfect shape, you may not have fatty liver disease. So if you have certain symptoms, we have a couple of minutes left. Please talk about some of the symptoms people should look out for. You hit on what some of your symptoms were for hepatitis. What are some things people should look out for if they have issues with their liver?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say with everyone. I mean, in severe cases, discoloration of skin, eyes, often the common as far as being, yellow, jaundice, tired, fatigue. But you do need to look at and consider your risk factors. And when I say that, meaning family history. I mentioned Cooper earlier, an amazing story, and we'll hear more about it at the walk, but his aunt had passed from liver disease. The same exact issue as Cooper. He was born on her birthday, and he was born on her birthday, received a transplant. He is now thriving now, but doing great. But getting back to your question, you have to look at your lifestyle. I mentioned a few factors. Weight is another issue. As we talk about liver disease, that fatty liver impacts so many of us, and that gets into Madrigal is our Liver Life, our national sponsor of the Liver Life Walk, and they just came out with a new drug for fatty liver. Not an absolute cure. We don't know. It's very new as far as the impact it will have down the road. But my point being here is that with organizations pushing research, with pharmaceuticals doing additional research around these issues, hopefully someday we'll, see a cure to a lot of these.
That's amazing. And I did not realize there was a potential cure here. That's fascinating. For the way my doctor explained it to me, again, was that the liver is a giant filter. It does 100 things. Filter is one of many. But if it gets fatty, if it gets all bloated up, it can't, all the little tiny intricate filtration parts can't do their job right. And that's why you end up having enzyme levels off and all sorts of issues, right?
Absolutely, Ken. Just a point of clarification. I said
Please.
Cure. It will help and it will stop as far as, and hopefully, which I'll know soon in my case, hopefully it may reverse some of the impact. But I just want to be clear that it's not a magical pill yet. But hopefully someday we'll have that.
Yeah, it's something. And what's nice is there's been progress. Yeah, go ahead, Gene.
I want to say thank you, because it's people like you and doing things like this, as far as allowing us to have a platform to talk about, liver disease, to talk about the walk. It shows like this. It is other platforms to get the word out there, the walk, whatever it may be. This helps. If there's, in my mind, if one person today saw this and shows up at the walk, which I'm sure it'll be more than one, but if it changed someone's life in a meaningful way, it's because of you and doing this and promoting this.
Well, it's because of you. All I am is the billboard. It's because of you and all the work you do and all the folks there at the American Liver Foundation. Look, I had a cousin who died of liver disease. I had a dear friend, as I mentioned, who got a transplant. He's very healthy. A year and a half later, you'd never know there was anything different. He just has to take his daily medications. He is 100%. So, but that's only because of the progress from the American Liver Foundation. And so thank you for doing what you're doing. The Liver Life Walk takes place at Verona Park, one of the prettiest parks, by the way, designed by the same guys who designed the Central Park in New York. It's on Sunday, June 8th. Gene Cartillo, New Jersey event chair for the American Liver Foundation. Come back anytime. Anytime you have a fundraiser gathering or any information, you're welcome here at all times. All right, my friend.
Thank you. And I want to say a shout out to the people at the American Liver Foundation for all of the great work that they do. If anyone needs information, you'll see on the website, Jasmine Edwards is the contact for the walk. Please reach out to her or myself as far as my information is on the site. But I look forward to seeing everyone, Ken, maybe even you on Sunday, June 8th. But please join us. It's a great event. I've heard a lot of people say out of all the walks, there's something special about New Jersey, which we all know.
To answer that, I'm going to be out of the country. And this is one of the reasons why this is so appropriate. It's because I'm going to Europe. My doctor made me get hepatitis vaccines, which you can get. I got the AB combo vaccine. I just got my second in the series because right now it is rampant. Hep is rampant in Europe right now. So I'm glad you reminded me. Anyone who is headed to Europe, talk to your doctor. You may want to get the vaccines before you head out there. Make sure, but it takes a few weeks to build up. So get them now. Thank you so much.
Good job.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, come back, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Gene.
Thanks.
Gene Cartillo, American Liver Foundation. Thank you, sir. When we come back, a trip to the Jersey Shore just got a bit more affordable. We will explain. Mix of sun and clouds this morning, cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta comes back with your full Garden State forecast. We will take your calls too at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. 8:08 is our time, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Mix of sun and clouds this morning, cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. We do have some areas of the United States right now encountering some severe weather, and as a result, between 400 and 500 flights are canceled or delayed. Why does this mean anything to us, even though it's nice here? Well, because those planes might be the equipment headed to Newark, LaGuardia, JFK, Philadelphia Airport that you need to take to your next destination. So if you hear travel-related delays, that's why you need to know that. So check with your carrier before you head to the airport this morning. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta. Our forecast, not so bad today. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast, sir.
Hey, Ken, good morning to you. Yeah, it looks pretty decent today with the clear sky to start. The clouds eventually moving in, but look how mild it is already, warming quickly with that sun. Temperatures hitting the low 60s down on LBI, now crossed into the 50s. Up north in Sussex County and 61 currently in Hackensack. Through this afternoon, the temperatures will feel a bit milder. They're already running 2 to 4 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and the dew points are rising, while the moisture in the air as that easterly wind takes over. So the winds are calm at the moment, but later today, they'll start to blow from the east and southeast, cooling off the coastal neighborhoods. Inland staying milder, but that east blowing due east tomorrow, that wind rather blowing due east tomorrow, making for a very damp and rainy day, only enhancing that rainfall, giving us a good soaking throughout our Wednesday. It's nice to start off the week on a Tuesday, kind of fast forward at least into the weekend. You'll notice the big swirl out here. That's a system that gives us all of the rain moving just offshore for Thursday, so coming close enough to provide the heavy showers. Already the clouds beginning to thicken up south of 195, and you'll notice the kind of milky white appearance to the sky throughout the day as those clouds quickly take over and give us an overcast appearance before the day is through. Then the rain comes in. I think it's very light and spotty throughout central and southern New Jersey until we get to this evening, 6, 7 o'clock. That's when it starts to come down and become more steady and widespread and through the overnight. Tomorrow morning starts off wet statewide, and it's a very humid, a very damp feel. Of course, cooler at the coast with that 58 degrees by tomorrow afternoon, thanks to the easterly wind. More rainfall on the way for Thursday, most of it happening early on in the morning, and then we catch a break by the afternoon. It's Friday that has more rainfall that takes over beginning Friday afternoon. So I think we catch that break for Thursday, end of the day into early Friday morning, maybe a little early morning sliver of sun down the shore Friday, but then some more rain returns and lasts throughout the afternoon into the evening with that wet weather sticking around, at least for the first part of Saturday, because our next weather front comes in for the first half of the weekend. So it's wet and cloudy and cooler, at least tomorrow, turning milder, but still pretty wet to start off Thursday. Friday finishes wet, and then Saturday begins on a damp note, but the weekend is not all lost. We've got some more sun on the way for Sunday, so Ken gets to enjoy the pool, and maybe this time the kids will stay far away, but, we'll have to see.
A friend of mine said I should bring a little stand with a sign.
Uh-huh.
It says, "Creepy old bitchy man, stay away." So I don't know. Maybe that might attract attention and for them to call the police. I don't know. But
Oh boy.
my thought is, listen, again, I get it. And I've gotten a bunch of emails from people now like, the kids are kids, leave them alone. I'm not, listen, I know I have nieces and nephews and they've been very loud. The thing is,
But Ken,
if you're the
we're moving
parent,
into a rental as well, with a pool, with capacity. I know what you're paying. Living at those places are not cheap, and you want to enjoy the amenities. So I get it.
that's it. That's it. And
Yeah.
the kids can yell, but I just don't like it when the parents go off to the sunset and
Yeah.
leave the kids for other adults to deal with. And then, God forbid, you say, kids, could you keep it? Well, that's the thing. Pam is saying, what if they, God forbid, drown? There are 2 lifeguards that are there. So,
Sure.
but the lifeguard's job is not to be the parent and to tell the kids to not splash the adults. The lifeguards are there to make sure the kids don't drown. That's it. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to have a gaggle of children, make sure they're not like menacing the parents and the adults there, and then you go off and have coffee with your friends and ignore your kids. That's all. If I saw that much attention paid by the parents, like, oh God, I'm so sorry, folks, guys, stop it. If I saw that, it'd be fine. But the attitude of they could go off and have their coffee and we have to suddenly parent their children, yeah, that's where the Italian comes out in me. And I literally had to hold myself back. All right,
Why don't we
enough,
just
enough.
clip
Move
this
on.
segment, and then you can email it to the property manager, and problem solved.
You know what? We have a very nice lady coming on right now who's going to tell us the glories of the Jersey Shore and why you should come to the beaches there. And here I'm talking. They're going to probably put me off in a corner somewhere and keep me away from all the kids because I'll be the one saying, "You rotten kids, get away from me." That's me. All right, sir. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you, Mike. Hey, all right. Breath. It's okay. This is what happens when you approach 60. At 40, I didn't really care. 50, yeah, 58 now, I'm like, get away. You make a noise. Get away from me. We do have some traffic to talk about. Let's do this if we can. Pam, mile marker 95.9, interchange 12. This is in the area of Carteret and Rahway. And you see some traffic building up there on the right side of your screen. That's because a mile beyond, there was a breakdown on the right shoulder. Actually, it was an accident, but it's moved to the right shoulder and exit away. So I think people are just starting to slow down going into it, and that's what you have there. We do have a crash, by the way. Route 73 northbound, by Route 30 in Waterford Township. The left lane, one of 2 lanes, is now blocked. And we have a crash on 495 westbound east of 1 and 9 in North Bergen, one left lane block there. Crash on the Garden State northbound north of exit 144, Route 510 in Newark with the right lane blocked. And we have heavy delays now, 8095 approach to the GWB. You can see this. This is all due to volume right now. There was an earlier crash in the other direction on the upper level, but now look at that. That is 50 to 55 minutes, we're told, getting across into Manhattan, 35 at the Lincoln and 30 at the Holland. 8:15 right now is our time, and with Memorial Day weekend in the rearview mirror, a lot of families are looking ahead to some well-earned beach time this summer. And this year, there's actually some very good financial news for New Jersey beachgoers. A new report from Affinity Federal Credit Union shows the overall cost of a trip to the Jersey Shore is expected to drop by 5% this summer. You got a big family, that's a lot of money. Still, prices are a far cry from what they were just a few years ago. We're still up more than 22% since 2020 for a typical day trip. So how do you keep summer spending in check without missing out on all the fun? Joining us now with some special strategies is Shindora Knox, Associate Vice President and Market Manager at Affinity Federal Credit Union. Shindora, thanks for being on. I could see your face in the screen when I was talking about me being splashed by the kids at the pool. Thank you for being so understanding of this old kvetchy man over here. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me. That was really funny. I appreciate
Thank you.
that so much.
It is funny. You know what's funny? I'm an old man with no kids. So I'm the guy that I always complained about when I was a kid, that whiny old guy who doesn't want the kids playing basketball or football near them because they make all that noise. I'm that guy now. I admit it. I
Oh,
confess. But nonetheless,
okay.
it is nice to have you on. Let's start with the big picture. Affinity's latest report shows a little bit of a break in the shore costs this year. What's behind the 5% dip?
Actually, that's really some exciting news for most families that want to take trips to the shore. The 5% decrease is due to the lower cost in gas. There are some things that are a little less expensive, like the cost of renting beach chairs. And then some things that have remained flat, like pizza, coffee, those prices have remained stable. Um, there's also the events. Some of them have slightly lessen the cost. So all of that contributes to the 5% decrease. Very excited about that.
Yeah, every little bit helps. I mean, we've seen year upon year upon year of everything going up dramatically. So just even if it just stayed flat for a little bit, just so we can catch up, because you have so many people, their incomes have not gone up at the rate of inflation. So it's literally been strangling so many families trying to just have a little fun with their kids. And um, I'm laughing. I'm saying families with their
Yes, you're
kids. I'll stop. I'm
laughing.
sorry. I'll move on. I'll move on, Shindora. I promise. So even with the dip, though, the cost of a beach day is still up a lot compared to 4 years ago. So what are some of the main spending categories that have been driving? You mentioned pizza. Is it just? I mean, what is it? What are the things that have gone up? Let's put it that way.
Well, there are some things that have definitely gone up. Remember, prices were a lot different in pre-2021. So just the cost of inflation in general is having a definite impact on that. And then we can't forget that we are importing some things like sunscreen and beach gear. So tariffs may have an impact on that. Everything's really iffy right now. So just try to keep it on the bright side. 5% down from last year is actually a big deal and can make really fun times for families at the Jersey Shore.
Yep. And one thing, by the way, look, I am born and raised in New York and only moved to New Jersey in 2002. I love New Jersey. But the one thing that my biggest complaint, and boy, I'm a complainer today. My biggest complaint
Yeah.
is that so many of the beaches charge you an admission fee. I mean, I lived in Florida for 5 years full time, and I've been part time for 22 years. No beach in Florida charges a fee. You have to pay to park, but it's only a few dollars. I mean, literally like $5 at most. And then you get on the beach for free. And I get it. The towns complain that they have to pay for lifeguards and upkeep. I get it. But some of the places are charging $200 for a season pass. And that to me is like just obscene. But there are free beaches you can go to. That's the good news, right? Sandy Hook, I think, is one. It's gorgeous. So we're blessed with such treasured beaches here. If families are watching every dollar right now, what advice do you have for budgeting a shore trip so it doesn't cost them too much?
Well, there's a couple of things we encourage everyone to keep in mind. First of all, plan ahead. There's some beaches that charge by the individual, but there's some beaches that cost charge by the cartload. So get everybody in the car together. That could save you some money. Also, if you're planning multiple trips to the beach, excuse me, then maybe you might want to get a pass as opposed to paying for individual days. And then pack ahead. A lunch at the Jersey Shore for a family could easily cost $50 or more. So bringing your own snacks and sandwiches, perhaps even some games that you guys can play as a family so you don't have to buy the arcade games and things of that nature, can actually save you some money. And then
Yeah.
also to think about why we're going there. We're going there for the experience. For many families, that's one of the highlights of the summer, is taking a trip to the Jersey Shore. So does it really matter that we can't play all the games? Um, can we spend some time with
That's
each other? There's free summer concerts. There's tons of things
Yep.
that we can do to make the experience worthwhile.
That's great advice. And all you got to do is go online. I mean, as you were right before we had you on, I used a search engine, and if you type in Jersey Shore free events, you'll see it's like 100 sites pop up, and there are so many great events, and we have so many. I think there's something in the water of New Jersey that we have so many talented musical acts here, and so they're performing all up and down the shore all summer long. It's just fun. We got the air show in Atlantic City. And all you got to do is look up and see that. It's just wonderful. So you're right, and we're so blessed to have that for us here. And again, like we were talking about, you don't have to go to one of the beaches you have to pay for. If you travel a little further, you can go to one of the 4 or 5 absolutely free giant beaches. And all you got to do is pay for parking, $15, $20, whatever, get a carload of people together. Is there a financial tip, an easy financial tip beachgoers might be overlooking that could really make a difference that you could suggest?
Well, I always suggest to plan ahead. The reality is, it is an expensive trip. Um, Save. If you can put a little bit aside each week and have conversations as a family to discuss how you're going to do that. It makes for great budgeting habits in the future if we start for something really small right now.
Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. And Affinity Federal Credit Union, a lot of people think big banks when they think of saving. I was part of a credit union for years at my former job, and I got treated as if I owned the place because credit unions have that personal approach. Talk about Affinity Federal and how long you guys have been around, and why people. I think a lot of people don't even realize what a credit union is. Talk to us about the benefits of a credit union.
Yeah, well, one of the things that really benefit everyone is the fact that we are very family oriented. Affinity happens to be the largest credit union in the state of New Jersey, and we are celebrating our 90th year in existence. I haven't been around that long, but trust me, it's all worth it. I've actually worked for Affinity for the last 30 years, and can I tell you, I wouldn't trade it for the world. We really appreciate our members, and they're not customers, they are our members. And we provide financial guidance for them to help them save for important things in their lives. We want people to feel good about savings. And there's some accounts that we have that are high yields or premium accounts, so that the interest you earn on those accounts might even be enough to pay for a trip to the Jersey Shore.
There you go. I'm so glad you talked about that. And wow, 30 years. Congratulations. You don't even look 30
Thank
yourself.
you.
So God
Oh,
bless you.
you are too
Um,
kind. Thank you.
that's great. But it says so much when you're with one company for 30 years. It tells you everything about the company and the kind of people who work there. And because you don't stay someplace 30 years if you don't like what you're doing. That's a beautiful thing. But I
Thank
just
you.
know that I remember going to my credit union when I worked for my previous employer. It was the credit union that bore their name, so that's why I went there. But they helped. They have better deals with mortgages in many cases. Their approval process was easier. The federal regulations are not as drastic. They didn't charge like crazy amounts for checking and everything. I mean, there were so many benefits to a credit union. So the fact that Affinity is a New Jersey based biggest in New Jersey. It's just I feel like I'm doing a commercial for you, but there's I
You
want people to
absolutely are,
realize.
and we appreciate that. I think I need to give you
But
my job there.
I
We
no,
are
no,
actually
I
just
just
really, it's important to us to help the communities that we serve. And everyone's
right.
financial needs, their financial goals are all different. So we take a consultative approach. There's no product pushing. We actually sit, we want to hear what you want to do, how you want to grow, what's important to you. And then we build packages that help the members meet their needs.
Yeah, and you offer all the stuff that all the other big banks, the quote unquote big, you're the biggest in New Jersey for credit unions, so I don't mean to imply that you're small, you're not. But at the same time, there is that family, personal, community approach that I'm sorry, the big banks just do not have. Because, and oh, by the way, the other thing is all the big banks have been shutting down branches like crazy. I mean, I was part of let's just say the initials are BOA. And when I joined them because of their proximity. Literally, the three of the four closest branches have all closed down. And they love to say, well, there are ATMs there. Well, if I could go to any ATM. I need to go to a branch for branch purposes. And it's annoying. Now I got to drive 20 minutes to get to one. So I love the fact that Affinity is like everywhere. I see you guys all over the place. And that really says a lot.
Thank you. And there's nothing like that personal touch. Sometimes there's some things that you can handle over the phone or at an ATM. But if you're like me, I want to go to my local branch. I want to sit down and I want to talk to someone about my financial needs and my financial goals. So we're not closing branches. Actually, we're looking to open a few more. We'll do that
Wow.
strategically, but we want to make sure we are where the people are.
That's fantastic. And why not? We years ago when I was a kid, we used to have Christmas clubs to save money for Christmas time. Why not have a summer beach spending club? I mean, if you're a young family, you're trying to save for the kids. If you know that you have, four kids and you want to go down the shore and have a lot of money, why not have like a vacation club, right? Years ago, they used to do that too. Do people still do this? Is this still a thing?
Not really so much of a thing
I'm
anymore, but we do have, I remember those accounts as well. But we do have accounts that earn some really nice interest rates on them. And again, we've had some members who use just the dividends from those accounts alone to fund short trips.
It sounds great. Shindor, what's a website where people can get more information too?
Please feel free to visit us at Affinity FCU, that's like frankcatumbrella.com.
Right. Affinity FCU, the biggest credit union in the state of New Jersey, and a lot of nice folks. Shindora's been there 30 years, even though she's only 24. So if
Oh,
she's
you're
been there
too
30
kind.
years, well, but that says everything. I mean, that says everything about the organization. So good for you, and
It is a
congratulations,
great place to
Shindora.
bank and a great place to work.
Well, it sure sounds like it.
Looking
I hope
forward
you
to
have a
seeing you
wonderful
all at our
summer.
branches.
You
Thank you.
bet.
Thank you
You
so
have.
much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. And Shindora Knox is Associate Vice President, Market Manager at Affinity Federal Credit Union. Hope to see you again real soon. Please come back anytime.
Thank you once again. Absolutely. Have a
You,
great day.
okay, you too, Shindora. When we come back, Microsoft takes action against some bad actors out to steal your computer passwords. Brand and digital strategist Fisher will talk to us. He'll join us and he'll tell us all about that and more. And the phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says we'll have a mix of sun and clouds this morning, then cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. The full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. We're seen daily on ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/ONNJ Jersey. I could say that in my sleep. In fact, I do often. We're coming right back. Very good morning to you. It is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, 56 degrees where I am in the rural parts of New Jersey, about 60 in other real parts where humans live. 8:30 is our time. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings, a mix of sun and clouds this morning. Cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We've got a pretty decent start to the day. Dry now, but it won't stay dry. So as you head out the door, grab the umbrella, especially if you're in central or southern New Jersey. You'll need it as soon as later on this afternoon as temperatures climb only into the mid-70s today, but it's a cloudy, turning rainy look to the forecast by the end of the day, before the evening commute even, especially southern parts of Ocean County. As far as the pollen, it was knocked down by the wet weather earlier, but kind of creeped back in, especially for weeds and grasses, as that is the predominant pollen heading into late May and early June. Tree pollen season pretty much over, but I think we'll get another round of rain to help knock all levels of pollen back down by the end of the day tomorrow, especially for Thursday and Friday. Anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain falling, specifically southern New Jersey. I don't think northern New Jersey taps into as much rain with this next round of wet weather, but at least until then, plan on a little bit more sunshine. Today is our last day of full sun with a UV index of a 7, which is considered a high. We'll start to see that number drop over the next few days back down to moderate and low as those clouds thicken up. So the cloud deck right now, very high, very wispy and thin, but it eventually gives us our overcast sky by the end of the day. And then the rain follows suit, specifically for southern New Jersey first, south of 195. You can see it here show up on the Futurecast, a little bit of a cooler breeze coming in off of the water throughout the overnight. That helps to enhance the rainfall, and then all of that rain overspreads New Jersey through the course of the day tomorrow. A good soaking by tomorrow afternoon, again, the heaviest of the rain down in southern parts of the state. And then by the end of the day tomorrow into early Thursday morning, the rain starts to exit. While most of the daylight hours on Thursday are dry and cloudy, there is the potential for another spot shower to return, specifically later on in the overnight and into early Friday morning, because Friday afternoon we get another round of steady rain as system number 2 works in and clouds up our Friday afternoon and gives us some wet weather specifically for the beaches, just as everybody is headed down the shore again for weekend 2 of unofficial summer. The hour-by-hour forecast for this weekend starts off pretty gray on Saturday, but ultimately clears out for Sunday. I think Sunday is looking very bright, very sunny, a very clear way to finish the weekend, a little bit drier as a lot of the humidity goes away, but then we see temperatures soar as the sunshine returns throughout most of next week, and we'll be sitting in the 80s to start off next week. So a very pleasant way to enjoy the first week of June. As far as this weekend, starts off a little wet on Saturday morning, but ultimately turns drier and warmer with sunshine by Sunday, 77 degrees to finish out the weekend. So a very pleasant feel to finish out May and start off June on the right note, Ken.
You, mister. That's a good thing. Looking ahead to June already. We
Yeah.
like that. Hey, Mike, do you have a vehicle? Do you drive a vehicle?
Sure. Yep.
Are you allowed to say, do you feel comfortable saying what color your vehicle is, or are you worried somebody's going to key you in the parking lot?
Nah, it's silver. Why? It's got the ceramic coating, so I think I'm protected.
And mine is sort of a metallic gray, although I traditionally have gotten black. I'm very boring. I always got black, black, black. So
Okay.
our director, Pam, noticed in this, and Pam, you could bring up the traffic shot if you'd like. Pam said that she said, look at all these cars. There's so many, they're all the same color, black or white, black or white. And I pointed out something that I only found out recently myself, that most people have the colors black or white for cars in the country. And the reason is
Huh.
most car manufacturers do not charge for black or white, but they will charge for any other
Charge
color.
for the extra
It comes
color.
free.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now,
Sure.
for Mercedes, it's like $3,500 if you want a color
Yes,
other
yes, it
than
is
black or
expensive.
white.
Right.
So there you go. So Pam was very astute and observant, and I thought I would share. Don't you feel better that I
Yeah.
have?
We have a very monochrome
Why?
palette here in New Jersey. We need a little more color. Like there was a Fiat commercial where the Fiat company stopped making gray vehicles because it was so boring. Need a little color and spice in those Italian cars.
Red Fiat. I mean, what's the point? You don't get a Fiat, you get a gray Fiat, right? You get like yellow, right? That's a nice racing. Those are good racing colors. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, when I was a kid, they had green. Remember they had green Fiats? I don't know if I
Yes.
want a
Yeah.
green Fiat.
Yep.
I like red or yellow. Those are hot. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bike. I appreciate you, sir. 56 degrees now, and it is 8:35. Take a look at traffic. We have right now, this is mile marker 129.0 south of exit 129, the tower cam on the Garden State Parkway we were just talking about a second ago. And of course, now it looks like it's moving. A few minutes ago, there was a bit of a buildup. There's a little burp in the internet, the interwebs. There's a lot of volume right now headed into this. This is in Fords, New Jersey, and this is where the turnpike, one of the points where the turnpike and the Garden State Parkway blend. So this is the Garden State you're looking at. The exit there on the right takes you onto the turnpike. It's one of a couple of blending points. We also have delays on the Garden State Parkway northbound from north of exit 82A, which is Route 37, west to north of Toms River Toll Plaza, if you could follow that in Toms River. All lanes are open, but there's a 2-mile delay due to volume. And we have delays on the GSP northbound north of exit 130BA, Route 1 in Woodbridge Township to south of exit 135 Central Avenue in Clark. All lanes are open, but there is a 4-mile delay due to volume. Speaking of delays, take a look at the 8095 approach to the GWB. Bumper to bumper, it's about a 50-minute cross time into Manhattan, 35 minutes at the Lincoln, 30 minutes at the Holland. And just for giggles, let's take a look at one of the I-80 cams at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton, if we could. We now have 2 eastbound lanes open, so things are moving right now, which is pretty nice. Westbound lanes are supposed to open within the next week or 2, we're told. That's after months of work on the sinkholes. Do we have a camera, Pam, or are they all closed? Pam is frantically looking. Is this? Go ahead. Tell me. Route 15 Pond View facing the other way. Okay. Yeah, they're getting creative now with the cameras. So they're headed to 80 right now. Oh, okay. And now Pam, we need, Pam's like, it's where Joe broke down with his bicycle. Pam, I'm on. Oh, vanable. Okay. So this is where they're coming on to 80 now, which is nice because before, like a week ago, they couldn't come on to 80 because 80 was closed. So that's a good thing. But thank you, Pam, for that. Pam's like, that's where I stubbed my toe in 1978. No, Pam, stop. All right. Thank you very much, Pam. Pam's the best. It is 8:37. Microsoft takes action against some bad actors out to steal your computer passwords. And chip maker NVIDIA, or as I like to pronounce it, NVIDIA, speeds up how fast AI robots can learn. To weigh in on these and other topics this morning is brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ken, or as I like to pronounce it, Ken. How are you?
You were very creative. So you're doing well, sir. Thank you. What is the deal with Microsoft going after some of those bad guys who were trying to steal our passwords and credit card numbers? I mean, listen, for the record, I always find that using the word password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 always keeps my account safe. I'm just saying.
It's a great job. Keep that up. And off air, you can tell me what bank you use. I just want to test something real quick. Microsoft has partnered with Cloudflare and other tech companies, as well as Department of Justices in multiple countries to break up the Luma Stealer malware network. And it's just that. It's a network of bad actors all over the world using software to infect computers. Microsoft has reported over 394,000 Windows computers across the world being infected. That might not sound like a lot, but in reality, it is, and it's knocking down what could have been a much bigger problem. The infection methods are sort of simple, mostly are emails, and you've seen them before or at least heard of them. Emails coming in asking you to verify your email address, offering a deal. One of the big fake emails that were coming in relation to this Luma Stealer malware network was from Booking.com. Not that it necessarily was, but they masked it as Booking.com and said, you got a deal, or you get 50% off, or you want a free trip. And so you have a message and you click the link to log in. And while the methods are simple in practicality, the damage can be extensive. In this case, the literal network was dismantled. People were arrested. Computers were seized. Physical computer networks were turned off and confiscated. And remember that if you get an email, and I say this a lot, usually to either you, Ken, or my mom is really the person I'm worried about, of if your your bank is asking you to verify a password or verify your email, or you have, even if you have a message, right? So a lot of banks send messages and they're secure and they're on the website. Go to the website. Don't click the links in the email. If your friend has sent you a message on Facebook, and I do a lot of quotes because it's not the companies that are actually, or air quotes, because the companies are not actually sending the emails. It's the bad actors, right? So if your friend sent you a message on a social media network, go to the social media network and read the email there, or the message there in your direct messages. Don't click links. Even if you're 100% sure that email is real, go to the website directly, log in through your normal means. Don't click links for free trips or to verify anything. Go to the websites. If there's a free trip to be had, it's going to be advertised on the website. If it's 50% off because of Memorial Day or Independence Day, it's going to be advertised on the website. Always take a second guess at those emails. Just don't trust them, because by clicking a link, it allows malware to go on your computer, and then that can capture everything that you type, everything that you see. It could really be a bad spot, and they can lock your computer and then try to extort you for money to unlock your computer, or steal all your money from your bank. There's a lot there, and it's a simple attack on your computer.
As you're speaking, I got this on Saturday morning. Amex
The
fraud
Amex
alert,
fraud alert.
purchase declined. And it
Yep.
says, did you use your card ending in because of?
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
And it'll ask you
so
to either text back, which will then start a conversation with somebody who you would think is the bank, or click a link to verify. And again, once you click the link and log into Amex in that case, and a lot of people do it, and even if they didn't make a purchase, it's very tricky. Here, where I live in Georgia, they're doing it with the Peach Pass. There are a lot of people who are getting, you have a low balance, click to fill up because we have the tolls, and I'm sure it's the same thing
like Easy
up
Pass
there.
here.
Yeah, Easy Pass, which are compatible. So you get a simple text saying your toll is low, or your monthly pass for the subway or for the LIRR or New Jersey Transit, and you click it because you're commuting every day and you want to make sure that you don't get stopped while you're trying to get on the train or the subway, and it's something easy to fall for.
By the way, that is right this minute. Easy Pass in New Jersey. That is the scam happening. I got it. My husband got it. We didn't click on it, but that is the scam. Click here to replenish. Your credit card is expired. Yep. And it looks totally legit. And by the way I solved that problem with Amex and whatnot, I called Amex and I called McAfee and I spoke to them. And as it turns out, McAfee did say that my renewal was up, and Amex, seeing an auto charge on a holiday weekend, properly declined it, and I was able to renegotiate and got it all cleared. But I'm glad. I always sign up for fraud alerts with all my credit cards. It's just a great idea. And yeah, don't click on anything. Just call the 800 number yourself, old school.
And keep the app on your phone too for Amex, right? So if there was a fraud alert and you had this specific notification on, the app should also let you know that there was a fraud alert.
Exactly. And that's the way to do it. But don't click on anything. I click on nothing now. So, and as if AI robots weren't creepily learning quickly enough, now they can learn even faster thanks to the folks at NVIDIA. Tell us about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, AI robots are closer than we hope, both in the technology space, obviously in the retail space, as we want to make $30 an hour working at McDonald's. Someone will make $30 an hour working at McDonald's, and then the rest of your coworkers are going to be AI robots. And then, of course, eventually they will be in our homes. Now, AI is commonly used when talking about Grok or ChatGPT or Apple Intelligence inside your Apple device. That's what we sort of think about AI. But AI, or artificial intelligence, ML, machine learning, is really the backbone of the technology. Robots will use artificial intelligence to do tasks. Now, in a day-to-day basis for, folks like us, think of a robot getting your dry cleaning, picking up lunch in the office, cooking dinner, right? In the retail space, like I mentioned, McDonald's, how to do the fries, make burgers, make a shake, things of that sort. So as of now, the training for these robots have been mostly showing them real world applications to train them to do a task. Obviously, you don't have to show them more than once, really, but you still have to show a robot how to do it. Chip maker NVIDIA is now using AI to train AI. So they make up scenarios on the computer using AI and then feed it to the robots. It eliminates errors, inaccuracies, etc. And a perfect example, like making fries, there's a way to do it, right? And you can do it wrong if you've gotten too much salt or not enough salt, or they're burnt, or whatever the case is. So obviously there's a right way. So if you show robots real world examples, there's going to be the mistakes in there of putting too much salt. If you're supposed to turn it over and then count to 3 and then turn it back and somebody counts to 5. So by being able to feed them made up scenarios, which are the right way to do things, is sort of like the training video, right? So if you worked at McDonald's, you get a training video of how to do all the things correctly, and then there's human error. So the training videos will be what will train the robots to do these tasks, and it will actually speed up learning, because if you train them how to do something incorrectly, you have to train them how to do it correctly at that point. So yes, so AI is going to be, what is it, dog food, where you have the same thing, but yes, AI is going to train AI to make things go quicker, the learning curve hopefully cheaper, but yeah, the robots are coming. So don't be shocked if one day you're sitting down at McDonald's and a robot brings you your Big Mac and your fries and your Coke.
But here's where the creepy comes in. What's to
We've
stop?
passed the creepy.
Yeah. What is to stop AI from
Mm-hmm.
teaching AI that
Mm-hmm.
humans aren't necessary? I mean, literally, if they're developing, think about this. If they're all about logic,
Mm-hmm.
logic would dictate, if you're a computer, that they're doing all the work. The people are doing nothing. Why do we need them? They're just weighing us down because they're a carbon life form and they need to eat other carbon life forms to survive. So why are they even here on this planet? Let's just let them die out.
When you get
What's
off
to
the air,
stop
go ahead
AI
and
from
watch the
figuring
Will
that?
Smith movie I, Robot from the 90s, and
Yeah.
you'll understand.
No, and I saw it and it was very creepy,
Yeah.
but it
Yep.
makes sense. And literally, we think about it as, oh, what is to stop that for real from being the
Yeah.
case? Because that is the logical end. That is the logical end. And if I want to get real conspiracy theory on you, you have the Bill Gates of the world who really want humans not to exist. They're kind of happy about the planet just spinning as a rock in space and humans are the bad guys. And he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about, all sorts of population control issues. He's talking about the king of creepy. And he's worth $100 billion, so he has the power to enforce stuff like that. So it makes you wonder if the people behind AI don't even have ulterior motives. Just
Yeah,
saying, Fisher.
I
I'm
don't
not
want an
asking you
AI
to jump
robot in
on it.
my house. I definitely don't want that. Like,
Yeah,
how are
but
you, like,
they could run every aspect of our lives as it is. They
oh,
could they
yeah,
could
yeah,
actually
yeah.
turn
But I
off
don't
this
want them killing me
transmission.
in the middle of the night. So I don't want a robot in my house.
I think we've already gone past the point of no return, and
Yeah.
I'm very suspicious. Yeah, maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
a little conspiracy theorist about this, and I don't see. I mean, there are some good things about it, but once AI starts teaching AI, that's when all
Yeah.
bets are off. I have
Yeah,
issues
and
with
of
that.
course it also it goes down to jobs too, right? Of what will AI take over that we're currently doing, and and then what happens? I mean, the speed of this is happening that 2030 could be revolutionary, right? By 2030, in 5 years, less than 5 years at this point, we could be leaps and bounds where we are now. They could be making cars. You might not have a human in sort of the industrial, the industrial revolution was 100 years ago or a little bit more than that, and now you might not even have humans part of it. So yeah, things are moving quickly, and it'll be interesting how our conversations, if we're still here and a robot's not doing our jobs, how we're having this conversation in 2030 and seeing where we are then.
You know, I, again, it makes sense that we're just in the way at that point. We're not necessary. If they can do it all and they can do it all efficiently, and we're just the burden, Seriously, because I remember reading one strategist talking about the fact that, well, the ideal would be humans being born and having nothing to do, that the robots would do all the work. They would grow the food, they would do the tasks, they would do the dry cleaning. Literally, not when I say do, I don't mean take your clothes to the dry cleaners. They would
Right.
do the dry cleaning. So the robot would take your clothing to a place, and then there are robots there that would do the work. Bottom line is the robots would do all of the work, and we would only exist to lay at beaches and have robots wait on us. But why would robots want to?
Well,
And if
I
they
mean, if you
learn on
remember
their
last week,
own,
I sent you a text and I said none of this in this video
right?
is real. And it
And it was
was
you had to look to
AI
see that it was
created.
fake. Yeah.
Yeah, it was AI created, and there were very little tells. Like fingers, I think had 6 fingers or 7 fingers, or they were weird. But otherwise, I mean, that's how they're making commercials now. So what you see on TV as a commercial, those people may not be real. The dog's not real, the kid's not real, the house isn't real, but they're still selling you the laundry detergent or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's in all aspects of, of being able to, if you could do that simply now. What I sent you was somebody's investment of like $500 into have ChatGPT create that in 30 minutes. The money that's being invested, and you're saving, crews and trips to locations to have specific, scenes for car commercials or whatever it is, and you can all do it in AI, and then the robots. Yes, there is some concern as to where we're going with all of this.
I think I sent you, there were a couple of videos floating around online of AI robots that had a code error. And
Hmm.
literally, I mean, these were human size, full size
Hmm.
robots made of steel, or some kind of a composite, hard composite. And they literally couldn't control their arms, and they were whacking, and the humans nearly got killed trying to control the robot because it was all, they were not tethered. And
Hmm.
literally, they can go around and hurt people. That's what scares me,
Hmm.
because how do you even get close enough to shut them down? I mean,
Right.
it's unnerving. Now, I know we're delving into the
Yeah, we can
creepy
keep going.
deeply, but yes, we
What do you
could.
got for
All
the
right,
next 30
let's
minutes?
do that another day. AI is going to shut us down. That's what we got. All
Pam
right,
was going to shut
Brandon
us
Digital.
down.
Yeah, that's what Pam. And Pam is. How do we know that Pam is an AI? We don't know.
I'll leave that
Brandon
with you.
Digital Strategist Fisher. Oh, she's in the air going do 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 do. Brandon Digital Strategist Fisher, found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher, and through his website fisher.media. Thanks for coming on this morning, sir.
Take care.
Go let
See you
AI
next
make
week.
coffee. Take care.
I will.
It is 8:43, 8:52 rather. Pam, we're not going to go to break here because of the time that I just went on and on here. But let's just have our friend ready. A mix of sun and clouds this morning, then cloudy this afternoon, highs in the upper 70s. Nice. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, who is not AI. He's the real deal. He
No.
is back now with the Garden State forecast. Isn't it creepy though, Mike?
It's ridiculously creepy. I saw the little Hollywood trailers that now Google VOs can do. That new, have you seen this? The VO? VEO, it's
Yes,
spelled.
it's horrible.
Yes, ridiculous, ridiculous. So
I don't like
we'll
this.
see. And yet it still
All
can't
right.
generate a meteorological forensic report because I've tried, I've tested it. Could save me 12 hours, but no, in the end, I'll just suck it up.
You need
So
a
here we go.
human. Need a human.
Right.
Thank you,
We do.
sir.
We do. That's why you have On New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. You
That's
can't
right.
get this anywhere else. There's no AI. We've got a really decent start to the day with plenty of sun to begin the morning, but by the afternoon the clouds roll in, and then it's all about the rain now through Thursday into Friday and Saturday. So it's a steady shot of wet weather with some breaks on and off, especially for Thursday afternoon, but by Friday afternoon we're back to the rain. Sunshine returns on Sunday, and then it's dry and warm. Wait till you see the 7-day coming out, how hot it gets by early next week. A little bit of an easterly breeze off of the water, keeping the coastal locations cooler. This is our high, but this happens before the afternoon sea breeze. We'll see this temperature drop into the 50s for later today, while it stays in the low 70s further inland. We are running a bit below average. 75 is where we should be, but well below average tomorrow because the high tomorrow only climbs into the 60s, so a much cooler feel as clouds have pretty much taken over. cover everywhere south of 195. Northern New Jersey still enjoying that sunshine, but not for long because the rain chances go up, especially tomorrow and Thursday. I think Friday has a little bit of a break in the morning, but it returns by the afternoon and evening and sticks around for Saturday. I like how Sunday's rainfall level drops. That's some good news, meaning it'll be a dry finish to the weekend with plenty of clear sky. So our clear sky from the past few days is now breaking down as the high pulls away. Our next weather system moves in and brings us steady rain for tomorrow. Thursday starts off a little wet, but eventually dries out by the afternoon. Just cloudy skies lingering. And then our next weather system comes in with the front for Friday evening, lasting through Saturday morning. And as these two systems clash, might even get a few thunderstorms in there early in the day on Saturday. And that's what the 7-day shows. While you'll see the thunderstorm icon here for the day on Saturday, it's predominantly in the morning, but by the afternoon, should see some clearing and beautiful weather on Sunday. Dry and sunny, highs in the upper 70s, less humid, and the nice weather sticks around for Monday as well. As far as the shore points, pretty wet going forward. Much cooler with that easterly breeze as well. That clears by Saturday, much later in the day. I think Saturday dinner time is when we'll finally see the front pass through. But Sunday is a beautiful start to the second half of the weekend, and Monday looks quite nice as well. So pretty decent weather as we enjoy a clearing just in time for the second weekend in unofficial summer, Ken.
We'll take it. We like every weekend out there. By the way, I know you were talking about moving into a complex. The complex that we moved into for at least the next 6 months, we're going to be here about a year in total. They opened their pool yesterday, but the pool will only be open weekends until the end of June because they only have a lifeguard. So here's the thing. They only have a lifeguard for weekends. But here's the thing. As an adult, they won't even let you in to lay on the chaise lounges.
Right.
I can understand if you're not supposed to be in the pool. They won't even let. Now, you could say, well, kids will get in. Yeah, but you need like a fob to get in. So if you're an adult, just don't give your kid the fob. I don't know. I'm really, really whiny today. I really need another cup of coffee.
You're at the age, Ken, where I think you need to start looking at the senior communities.
And I'm fine with that. I'd be fine with that. But it just gets me. It's like, if you're not going to open the pool full time until almost July, you only got 8 weeks. What's the point? You only have like 8 weeks. Then from July on, it's going to be open 7 days a week. But it's like, come on, we have such a short summer season to begin with in New Jersey. In Florida, you go to a community pool in Florida, you will not even find a lifeguard. They don't even exist. Only like the big beaches.
To your HOA president campaign reel.
They will kick me out. I promise you. They'll say, when did you get here? Get lost. All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. Pam, and I'll just tell Pam right now, we've exhausted all our time. Notice I'm the one. I'm the big mouth who is exhausted all the time. Pam, let's just bring up the 8095 if we could. This is the approach to the GWB. This is bumper to bumper. Still making your way into Manhattan and I threw Pam off because we had another camera we were going to go to instead. This is all because of an earlier problem on the New York to New Jersey side on the upper level. It's been cleared, but now the opposite side, the eastbound side, you can see lower level on the left, upper level on the right. It's about a 50 to 55 minute slow crawl into Manhattan. And that is the problem today. You have 35 minutes also on the Lincoln, 30 minutes at the Holland. It is now 56 degrees at 8:57, and meteorologist Mike Favetta, you just heard, says a mix of sun and clouds this morning, cloudy this afternoon, highs upper 70s. That is ONNJ Mornings for your Tuesday, May 27th. I'm Ken Rosato. Check us again tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. If you really liked us, tell everybody about us. And if you didn't, pretend it's our little secret. Till tomorrow at 7, have a great day.